Good evening. On behalf of the officers and members of the Kankakee County Branch NAACP, my name is Theodis Pace, President of the Kankakee County Branch of the NAACP. We welcome you. This evening, we have the candidates of the City of Kankakee City Clerk Candidate Forum for those who are on the April 6th ballot and to hear their views about their respective platforms. Note that we are on Zoom and Facebook Live in this evening. This event will be viewed by audience from a variety of places, and they will have the opportunity to ask questions as well. We'd like to thank Mr. Steve Bertrand and the Kankakee Public Library staff for again partnering with the NAACP. Before we begin tonight, I want to remind everyone to turn off all electronic devices. This event was organized by the Kankakee County Branch Political Action Committee. The purpose of the forum is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. The NAACP is a nonpartisan, volunteer-driven organization. Membership is our timer for the evening is Paulette Crank. Our panelist is Ayanna Smith, Secretary of the Political Action Committee of the NAACP, along with Marta Corrales. So we have both candidates, Ms. Hall and Ms. Gall. And we're gonna start with a 3-minute opening closing statement. During the evening, each candidate will receive questions from our panel, which they have 1 minute to respond. And we're gonna start with the opening statement, 3 minutes from Mrs. Hall.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the NAACP and the Kankakee Library for hosting this event tonight. I also want to say thank you to everyone behind the scenes who made this possible and for our panel who has taken time away from their families to be here tonight. Thank you. My name is Destiny Hall and I am running for City Clerk. You may not know me very well, but you are about to. My opponent and I are interviewing in front of the public for the position of City Clerk. You will hear all about my past job experiences in the administrative world, working with the City of Kankakee, the state of Illinois, and the United States government. I do want to take this time to tell my opponent that I appreciate her service to her constituents in the 2nd Ward. Listening to people's problems and not taking it personally is a skill that must be developed when working with the public. I understand the importance of that as I have worked in service to my community for over 20 years, and I do respect the word service. Whether that is being a service to your fellow man, to your community, or to your country. My dad, both my grandfathers, and I have served in the United States Army, and my brother is still currently serving in the Marines, close to 24 years now. In addition to being an alderwoman, my opponent has many volunteer hours in the school district. She loves being involved with children and has taken a group of kids on a field trip to see how city government works firsthand. As a mother who used to be a parent volunteer in the Kankakee School District, I truly appreciate that from Stacey, so thank you very much. But tonight's debate is not about taking children on a field trip or how many times you have done volunteer service. It's not about our passions or our hobbies. It's not even about sitting in a room for 2 or 3 meetings a month and voting on the agenda for that day, or how many boards we are a member of. What I say tonight does not discount what I just previously said about my opponent, but please take note, I am not here to put Ms. Gall down in any way. It's just to draw a distinction between myself and my opponent. Tonight's debate is about who the right candidate is for the position of City Clerk, who has the experience and expertise to work in this fast-paced setting and serve both the City Council and the public. The City of Kankakee deserves someone who can do this job, and this is where I come in. Not only do I have 20 years experience in the world of administration, but my MOS in the Army was administrative specialist. Not only was I born for this job, but I was government made for this job. I'm not a politician. I am not a yes ma'am, yes sir person. There is no gray with me. It's either right or it's wrong, and I do not hide behind my mistakes. I own up to them and I correct them. I do not conform because someone is in a higher position than me. I am my own person capable of making my own decisions, even if that goes against the norm. I can work independently and be fully trusted. I am the only logical choice for the position of City Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Gall?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you to the NAACP and thank you to the Kankakee Public Library for hosting us tonight. I'd also like to thank the panel for your participation in educating voters as well. My name's Stacey Gall and I'm running for Kankakee City Clerk. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Kankakee. My dad and his family owned a sheet metal shop in Kankakee since I was born until he retired, and we lived just a few houses away from his shop on South 4th Avenue growing up. The state of the city has always been important to my family, and it had an impact on me growing up. And as an adult, I wanted to be a part of the solutions to our concerns and share my passion for the city. I went to Kankakee High School with some of you, and I also met my husband at Kankakee High School. We're high school sweethearts. And we wanted to raise our family in the city that we grew up in, where our families are. We have 2 daughters who go to school with some of your children as well. Our oldest is a recent graduate of Kankakee High School, and she's off to college this year. And our youngest is a sophomore at Kankakee High School. As my kids were growing up, I found a love for volunteering, and I've been a leader at church. I've been the president and vice president of their PTOs at school, as well as president of our neighborhood group for 5 years as they were growing up. I began attending every neighborhood group meeting in the 2nd Ward, and I found a pot of gold in the people there. I learned so much about neighborhood groups and how they are the key to strengthening neighborhoods, and that's what initially brought me to the City Council. In my tenure on the City Council, I've served on all 8 city committees: Public Safety, Code, Budget, License and Franchise, Community Development Agency, Environmental Services Utility, Ordinance, Economic Development. I've chaired and vice chaired some of these committees as well. I've created the agendas, I've ran the meetings, recorded action items, taken minutes, given the reports, and kept a careful eye on the budget of the departments as well as the city's budget as a whole. My life's passion is public service, and it's an exciting time to make the clerk's office not only what it's required to do by ordinance and statute, but also to create a fully functioning department. There's room for a new creative look at how to better serve the residents of Kankakee. I'd like for the citizens to know more about what is available to them in the clerk's office through improved communications and education. The clerk needs to have a seat at the department head meetings once again to create partnerships and share ideas to help streamline the city business for the good of the departments and the residents of the city. I look forward to sharing my ideas with you more in depth tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Morales, you have the first question, and the question is to Mrs. Gall.
Running for office is a major commitment due to the nature of public service. At what moment did you decide to run for the city clerk?
Well, you're right. Being an elected official is tough work. I actually thought I was getting away from public office. I wasn't going to rerun for city council. I really wear those issues very hard on myself. I've had sleepless nights. It's hard on my family. But that city clerk role is really the part of being an alderman that I like. I like to hear people's concerns. I like to help them find solutions. That's the part that I really enjoyed the most. I hope I'm answering your question correctly.
Yes.
And that's why I wanted to run for city clerk. It suits me better.
Could you please repeat the question?
Sure. Running for office is a major commitment due to the nature of public service.
Mm-hmm.
At what moment did you decide to run for city clerk?
I have always worked in an administrative capacity with the public since I was very young, in my 20s. Working with the public, being a very demanding role is something that I can do. I know I can do it. I am great at administrative work, and I do enjoy, like I said, working with the public. And working at the city clerk's office not only will better my family, but it'll also better myself and give me an opportunity to communicate more with the community that's out there. We need the open line of communication, and I can give that open line of communication to those people. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you have the question. The question is to Mrs. Hall.
Mrs. Hall, describe a time when you dealt with a stressful situation. How did you manage your emotions?
Sure, no problem. So I currently work for Vision Logistics. It is a trucking company in Manteno, out there in Illinois. And we were sent home due to COVID. So it was a big adjustment going from 2 to 3 screens and a nice desk to a makeshift day bed with 1 screen, trying to figure out how to do my work. But I adapted, moved forward, and then I was put on a special project. During that special project, I noticed that we were not invoicing, and we should have invoiced close to $250,000. I found that through auditing, and I brought it to our boss' attention, and he was very pleased with my work. That could have been a stressful situation because we could have lost money with our company, but instead of losing money, I found that money, and I'm very proud of what I've done for that company. Thank you.
Mrs. Gall?
A stressful situation and how I dealt with that? Okay. I will definitely say that on the council, right when I was on the council, our budget took a big hit, and we had to make some difficult decisions in the city's budget, and that was bringing back the vehicle sticker tax. I got so many calls. I was a new alderman. I was still learning, and I had to realize that I needed to listen to everyone, but then at the same time, I know what the problems in the city are, and I need to look at the big picture. And I learned a lot through that, and I learned a lot about how to be honest with, I didn't learn how to be honest on that day, but if you really teach people what the process is, they understand. And that was a big thing for me. That was something that I learned, is that really explaining the process to people helps them understand the hard choices that you have to make. And that was one of the first things I learned back in 2013. So.
Thank you. Mrs. Gall, what 3 core strategies would you use to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in the clerk's office?
That's a difficult question because I think that it's almost an education question. Diversity, I think sometimes we think of just race and gender, but also it's religion and age and sexual orientation and education, marital status. There's a lot that goes into it. As far as equity, it's fair treatment, access, opportunity, advancement for all people. But at the same time, I think the piece that we need to learn is we're striving to identify and eliminate barriers that have prevented full participation from some groups. In order to improve equity, we have to increase justice and fairness. So this will be my mission and mindset in the clerk's office, because we're a very diverse community, and the community deserves somebody that can recognize that this is how our community can come together. Being inclusive is almost that perfect environment after the work is done, where an individual group feels welcomed, respected, supported, valued, paid the same, all of those things.
Thank you. Mrs. Hall?
Sure, would you please repeat the question?
The question is, what 3 core strategies would you use to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in the clerk's office?
Everybody that walks through that clerk's door is a human being. They have a pulse, they have blood just like I do, and they are human, and they deserve to be treated with respect. It goes back to my upbringing, and if I can be so bold to quote Matthew 7, chapter 12, we are told to love one another, you guys. We are told to treat each other, do unto others as you would have them do unto you in law and profit. And that is how I live my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you have the question and the questions to Mrs. Hall.
This is a question from the audience.
Mhm.
Any public role requires inclusive practices. What have you done in the past to serve the Black and Latina residents of Kankakee?
What services have I done to include the Black and Latino residents?
Yes.
Well, right now, all my posts are actually translated in Spanish because there is a demand for that, and we lack that very much in the city of Kankakee. And so I want to actually bring that into the clerk's office. If you go to the clerk's website page right now, nothing is done in Spanish whatsoever, and that needs to change. As far as helping the Black community, I used to parent volunteer at my child's school, and there were kids who parents didn't care if they got ahead of their schedules or not, if they did their homework or not. I took it upon myself to take each child separately, help them with their homework, make them succeed, and 15 years later, they still remember me. So I know I've made an impact on that child's life. And that's something that I will always cherish. Thank you.
What have I done in Black and Brown communities to, I'm sorry.
Any public role requires inclusive practices. So what have you done in the past to serve the Black and Latina residents of Kankakee?
Oh, sure. Actually, there's a really an amazing person that lives in the city that helps out with the Latinx community. And I was able to come to her living room. She welcomed me, and a lot of people who have almost a distrust for the government and are learning and are new citizens. They didn't speak English. She translated for me, and I got to help them understand who I was, what I could do to help them. And I pretty much answer a lot of questions that were also outside of being an alderman, but I think that we made each other they made me feel welcome. I made them feel welcome. And largely a part of the second ward is a huge Black community, and they have a great neighborhood group, and I've really built those relationships with them. I think that there was like a level of trust that we needed to build for some time, and I earned that. So I got their back and they have mine. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Perales. A question to Mrs. Gall.
Knowledge is power. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Okay. Knowledge is power. Where at times there's not enough news out there about what's going on in the community. Do you have any ideas on how you would get the message out in terms of what services are available in the city of Kankakee?
Yeah, I think that the clerk's office can definitely do a much better job of communicating with the community. I think I value neighborhood groups. I said that in my opening. That is really the key. I would love to visit neighborhood groups throughout the year, educating them on what the clerk's office has to offer, what's going on in the community. I think, of course, we can use social media and all kinds of, I think you reach people at different levels. Different generations communicate in different ways. So I think you have to hit all of those, but definitely coming out of the office into the neighborhoods is a key thing to me to educate people.
Could you
Yes.
please repeat that question? Thank you.
Sure. Knowledge is power. And where at times there's not enough news out there about what's going on in the community, do you have any ideas on how to get the message out on the different services that the city of Kankakee provides?
Sure. Really, I thought I was at a city clerk debate, so excuse me for a second here. As we get the information out to people, of course, we have TV. We have our public service TV. We have the newspaper. We have the internet. We have Facebook. We have, oh gosh, what's the other one? Snapchat that the kids use. There is a wealth of communication tools that we have, other than the newspaper and radio. So yeah, we should be using these whatsoever. The city clerk's office actually has a communications board, but it's only on the inside of the building and not the outside of the building. It's only in English and it's not in Spanish. So we are failing our community once again by not communicating with them. Thank you.
Mrs. Hall, how will you rally the different groups in our community, including the faith-based community, to get beyond the division of politics after the election is over? So how can you unify in moving the city forward?
Being how can I unify and move the city forward because of diversity issues?
Yeah, how would you rally different groups in the community, including the faith-based community, to get beyond the division of politics in our community?
I'm a Christian for starters, so I believe in the power of prayer. I also believe that God heals all wounds. We need to, as a community, stop with calling things that are inappropriate. We need to stop playing the race card. We need to come together as a community. We need to love one another. We need to talk with one another. Why does everything always have to end in a fight? I mean,
Okay.
that's my question. Why does everything have to be a fight? Why can't we not come together? Because the people don't want to come together, but we need to come together.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's actually one of my strengths is bringing people together. Some people will listen to you when you listen to them. As far as like the race card comment, that kind of hurt my heart just a little bit, because I think that you have to see people for who they are. You can't say that you don't see color, then I don't see you. So I think we have to really see people for who they are, what their experiences are, and we can all find some common ground, but we do need to see people for who they are, and that's how you come together. People will listen to you when you listen to them.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Smith, you have the question and a question to Alderman Gall.
All right. Does the city clerk need to have advanced degrees in accounting and government finance in order to be qualified to be the Kankakee city clerk? If so, why? If not, why not?
Well, there is a small budget. I actually did bring it this time. It's not the biggest budget in the city. There's definitely, you have to keep your eye on your expenditures, but there's really not a lot of wiggle room. I think the government experience is necessary because of knowing the needs of the people and knowing the needs of the departments. I could go into depth about what some of those needs are if any of the questions allow me to. But I think knowing those needs is how you're able to get the job done.
As far as a local government on a bigger scale, yes, education is required, but we're not a bigger scale city. We are very small. So no, the education is not required. The budget for the city clerk is $133,280 a year. $110,000 of that is for payroll. $5,000 is for office supplies. $500 is for equipment supplies. $1,400 is for dues and subscriptions. $700 is for training and tuition. $800 is for travel. $10,000 is for legal notice, and $4,800 is for equipment and maintenance repair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Hall, with that, the amount of the budget, and if elected, how would you think of outside the box, how would you look at maybe generating revenue out of the city clerk's office for the city?
Sure, I would have to look at the services that Kankakee office actually does versus other services from the other city clerk's offices. If they offer something that we don't, then I need to find out why we don't, and if the Kankakee office can actually do it. Using social media on any level gets people thinking. So during the peak season of garage sales, we should be able to run ads in the paper and post on social media on how to obtain a garage sale permit. The next step to be taken is how long the permit is for and the cost of the permit. We should be capitalizing on all aspects of the clerk's office, but there are some permits and licenses that are done more regularly than others, and we need to push those more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Gall?
Sure. As far as a revenue source, I do agree that we could bring some things to the city that maybe we don't already do, like hunting and fishing licenses, especially with the proposed Riverwalk. That might be a nice addition. We need to develop a way for residents to purchase things online that they may need to come into the office for, such as a business license, a garage sale permit, peddler's license. Creating some sort of e-commerce program would allow more people to not only be in compliance, but I think that would generate more revenue for the department. I think this would also be a great goal for the vehicle tax sticker to eventually come to the clerk's office. That wouldn't happen right away, but I think that we could take the burden off of the sticker sales from the comptroller at some point and make that more successful.
Thank you. Ms. Morales, you have a question to Alderman Gall.
Yes. What policies and procedures have you successfully implemented which save taxpayers money or monies at the workplace?
I'm trying to think of some specifics. We've done a lot on the council. Like I was in favor of that 2% tax that we put on sales tax. That actually helped homeowners lower their property taxes. I thought that was a great idea. Anytime that we can put money towards our police and fire pensions, takes that relief off of taxpayers. So I'm always a proponent for that. I wish I had more coming to my brain. So
Thank you.
you.
Mrs. Hall?
Sure. When I had worked at the Kankakee area YMCA, I started as an office desk clerk, moved into accounts receivable, and then took over a dying program, which was the before and after care program. The YMCA knew that they were going to lose this program because they didn't have any of the government funding to keep the program going. Not only did I reach out to other YMCAs, but I actually secured government funding, was able to help low-income families secure CCR&R, which is Child Care Resource and Referral, and I tripled the income at the YMCA. 15 years later, my daughter now runs it, and she is one of the site leaders for Taft Elementary. Again, I've already told you that I found close to $250,000 that my work was not charging for. And I'm very proud that I found that through the audit. Just to let you know that I am an auditor and this is what I do. And so thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you have the questions to Mrs. Hall.
How would you hire more workers of color to promote a more equal and diverse workforce in the office of the city clerk?
Right now, Amy Marquez works there. I believe she is a Spanish woman. She's worked there for quite some time. She does an excellent job. If I was to become, actually, let me scratch that. When I am city clerk, she will continue to work there. There is not a need for more than 2 people full-time at the city clerk's office. Should there develop a need to have a 3rd person, then absolutely, I will interview for the job. And if a person of color comes up for the job interview and they meet the requirements that are set by our city of Kankakee, absolutely, the job is theirs. Thank you.
I think one of the last, is it my turn? Yes. At the last debate, I kind of harped on how we lost an employee there in the clerk's office. And I don't know I wouldn't know until I'm there to know if we really need that person back or not. But I'm all about partnerships. I think we can do some internships. I think we could partner with KCC. I think we could partner with Kankakee High School for students, for education, for help in the office. And I think we could get some diversity that way and get some ideas going in young people's heads about careers they might possibly like to do. And it's, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Perales. You have the questions to Mrs. Gall.
This is from an audience member. Given that ICE is in our backyard, many Latinx residents are hesitant to collaborate with any government entities. How do you plan to build trust with the immigrant community?
I'm sorry, who's this to?
Ms. Gall.
Ms. Gall.
Okay, I'm sorry. I understand that. I would have a hard time trusting too. I put my heart with them. I think that it takes building relationships, kind of the story I was telling before about how I just met in someone's living room to show them who I am. I think it takes those little small relationships grow into big trust. I'm all about relationships. And they can be small, they can be one-on-one, but they share that with their friends and family.
Thank you. Mrs. Hall?
Mm-hmm. There is a lack of trust in every backyard. Point and take, 300 block of South Washington was just had a shooting and a murder yesterday. While I was being petitioned at the City Hall's office, we just wasted resources. We had, you okay? Okay. We wasted resources because we had 3 police officers at City Hall just in case my lawyer said a word that wasn't appropriate to the mayor. And instead of having those 3 policemen out on the streets, there was a murder yesterday. So mistrust everywhere. So how is that any different? Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perales, you have the questions to Mrs. Hall.
Mhm.
This is another question from the audience. Both of you are running as members of a national political party. What does it mean to you to run for city clerk as a party member? How has party membership affected your candidacy, and how would it affect your role if elected?
My party membership has not affected my candidacy whatsoever. I'm proud to be a Republican. It means I can stand on my own 2 feet and not have to depend on anybody else. It means I'm a strong, independent woman, and I am proud of who I am. Thank you.
I personally feel like the city clerk's role, I really wish it wasn't party affiliated, because I would not be a Democrat or Republican to anybody that comes into the office. I have tried to keep my campaign. I've walked by myself with my husband and my friends. I have tried to keep it as neutral as possible, because that's really who I am. And I think that's what the office needs to be.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Perales, you have the question and the questions to, I'm sorry, Ms. Smith, you have the questions to Alderman Gall.
Could we just give the voters, let the voters know what is the role of the city clerk?
Sure. There's a lot of things to list, so I'll kind of keep it somewhat basic. The city clerk is the record keeper of the city. The city clerk posts meetings in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, creating the council meeting agenda. Sorry. Recording votes and taking minutes at council meetings. The minutes will actually be a new addition to the clerk's office this after the election. I believe that my opponent agrees with me, and that will save a third-party contract of $6,000. Election administration, peddler's licenses, event applications, business licensing. But my vision for the clerk's office is that it's really the people's office, a place for information. I would love to host education opportunities for residents and help them learn more about the process of local government. And I know a lot about that process. So I'd love to attend neighborhood group meetings, like I said, and educate residents on what the city clerk does. So I think there's that resident service connection piece to it too.
Thank you. Mrs. Hall.
Yes. So the role of city clerk, while simple in description, has the responsibilities of keeping the records for the city of Kankakee. Some records are kept permanently, such as the minutes for each council meeting, and other records are such as the committee meeting minutes, contracts, and maps, to name a few, are just kept for a short amount of time. In addition to maintaining the records, the clerk's office will now record the minutes for the council meetings. They also disperse the meeting agendas to the council members prior to their meetings. The clerk sets the agenda for each council meeting and is responsible for proper disposition of all ordinance, resolution, and proclamation passed at the council meeting. The clerk takes roll call at every meeting, and more than once as different topics are discussed. The clerk also swears the police and firemen for their new positions. When the citizens need to apply for an application or special events, such as a noise permit, neighborhood associations, outside entertainment, parades, marches, and runs, public demonstrations, sidewalk sales, street closures, and other permits, they will be coming to the clerk's office for this. Other applications the clerk office handles includes license to conduct raffles, a business license, tax license.
Thank you, Ms.
Sure. And a lot more other stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Perales, you have the question to Mrs. Hall.
Yes. If you were to become city clerk, how would you organize and prioritize your workload?
I think a big thing about prioritizing the workload is going to be software upgrades. Our current software doesn't communicate between departments, and this hurts us when, as an alderman, when there's nuisance properties, for example, the aldermen are the ones that flag those nuisances because we get the calls. But I think software would be key here. Also, as it goes to the clerk's office, like such as the peddler's licenses, we have people that knock on our door and ask us to show them our ComEd bill and things like that. And I think it would be good to have a software out there that talks to other departments that can share that information. I'd like to even publicize what that license looks like. So when somebody knocks on your door, you can show that, like when they show you their license, you know what to look for and what it is. But I think software would be key in keeping things moving.
Thank you. Mrs. Hall?
Sure. I'm sorry. Would you mind repeating that question for me, please?
Yes. If you were to become city clerk, how would you organize and prioritize your workload?
Okay, so I actually thrive on organization. And I will laugh at myself because yes, I have OCD. I love to take a stack of paperwork and at the end of the day, make it nothing. That is what I do. I pride myself on the ability to get the job done on the day that it was handed to me. As far as implementing everything else that Ms. Gall talked about, absolutely. I have worked in jobs that have an intranet, not an internet, but an intranet, where we are actually capable of working across the board with different stores. So why can't we have this with our policemen or with our firemen or with city council members? I mean, it's so easy. Everybody has iPads. All we have to do is just install the program and we can communicate with each other at a drop of a hat. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you have the questions to Mrs. Hall.
The city of Kankakee will receive $14.6 million in federal stimulus funding. If elected, how would you advocate for some of those funds to be funneled into the city clerk's office to promote education for the African-American community, the Hispanic community, Asian community, or any other group? And in terms of how to obtain business license to operate in the city of Kankakee.
Sure. I think I've already discussed that the city clerk's office is not translated in Spanish. So we're already failing that community as it is. If you go to the city clerk's website, you can see all the list of licenses and permits that's available, all in English. Nothing that tells you step A to step B to step C, nothing that tells you what to expect when you first sign in, the cost of it, and what to do if it is that you don't receive it, or whatever it is that you're applying for. We're failing that. You know, I like to know when I get into something, okay, this is step A. I have to do step A in order to obtain step B. I have to do step B in order to obtain step C. If we cannot effectively communicate that with everybody across the board, that we're failing everybody in this city. So yes, I would like to have some of that funding to translate everything into Spanish or everything into whatever it is that our demand is for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know my opponent kind of poked fun at me taking kids on field trips, but that was really eye-opening, even for the adults that came on the field trip. And field trips are very expensive. It would be really cool if we could get some of that money for education. Absolutely. There's adults that don't know where city council is. There's adults that don't understand how it all works. And when we brought those 3rd and 4th grade kids in, we did mock committee meetings, and then we brought their ideas for Kankakee, and we made a mock council meeting. And the adults there were so thankful, and they thought that we should do that for them. So it would be really, really neat to do something like that for our children and adults if money allowed.
Ms. Perales, question to Mrs. Gall.
Yes, it's Women's History Month. Can you name a woman who's made an impact, a woman in history who's made an impact in your life?
I love Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She has fought for women's rights her entire career and gender equality. And I'm kind of a fashion girl myself, and even the robes that they wear are made for a man's shirt and tie to show. And that's why she wears those collars, to make it appropriate for women. And I also have, just ironically, I have a quote from her on my folder that I always carry around that says, "Women belong in all the places that decisions are being made." So she's kind of one of my heroes.
Mrs. Hall.
Thank you. So actually, mine's not even what a woman would consider a woman. It's actually a child, Anne Frank. The diary of Anne Frank is one of the most honest and powerful accounts of World War II. It was written by a German teenage girl. The Franks were a Jewish family living in Germany and Austria through Hitler's rise of power during World War II. The family hid in a secret annex and with 4 other people throughout the war, but they were discovered and sent to a concentration camp in 1944. Out of the Frank family, only Anne's father survived, and he made the decision to publish her diaries. The Diary of Anne Frank has been translated into almost 70 languages and is an intimate portrayal of one of the most inhumane moments of history. And it is able to educate us on the universal human qualities of emotion, passion, love, hope, desire, fear, and strength. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you have the question to Mrs. Hall.
Talk about how you intend to improve customer service in the city clerk's office.
There are always ways to improve any job, but customer service jobs need constant attention. People are frustrated, and working in customer service, you cannot take it personally, as they are not frustrated with you, but they're frustrated with the process. And even though they may not know what that process is from beginning to end, it's up to you to explain to them that. Therefore, I want to create steps for all the permits and license applications. I want the checks and balances on both sides of the table. If someone knows the steps from A to Z, they're more likely to cover their bases, resulting in knowledge of how to obtain what they need and with a lot less frustration. Thank you.
Mrs. Gall?
Okay, one more time.
Talk about how you intend to improve customer service in the city clerk's
Oh,
office.
sure. Well, I feel like this is one of my strengths. People call me with their problems all the time as an alderman. A lot of times people just need to be heard. A lot of times people just need to learn the process. When you explain the process, how things work, people really do understand. That's usually where their frustrations come from. So I think that definitely coming at somebody with a smiling face and telling them how things work is definitely, and education is power. So that going into neighborhood groups and explaining things to you is definitely on my list.
Ms. Perales, you have the question, and the question is to Mrs. Hall.
This has to do with, with COVID, there's been limited communication and some transactions with cities and counties. Do you have any suggestions, for this next year as we're still going through COVID in terms of getting services out to people?
Yeah, I think that I'm calling it e-commerce, but getting things online, I think definitely for payments. I think that will help compliance, and I think that will help revenue, and I think that will also make things easier on the residents. I also think as far as the business license, I hope I'm not stretching the question too far, but I wanted to say this, that I think we can have a more successful business license administration. We can partner with the Kankakee County Chamber of Commerce, with Gloria Kennedy at the Black Chamber, economic development. A lot of times they learn about these businesses through planning and zoning. I think that partnerships and putting as much as we can online, as particularly payments, will be helpful to everybody in a lot of ways.
I think as COVID has hit, we have seen our community and people around the world rally together to make things more efficient for each other. And so we need to look to see what other businesses have done, and can we implement these same actions into the city of Kankakee? And yes, Mrs. Gall is right. The online bill payment has been there forever, and we can still, communicate that out. We can offer services. More and more ride shares and lift shares are helping people get groceries. So let's work together as a community. Let's see what other people are doing, and let's implement it in our community. It doesn't have to stop just because we're small. Thank you.
Ms. Smith, you have the question to Mrs. Hall.
If elected, could you please tell the voters your plans on how you will work with the mayor of the city of Kankakee and how to partnership with, in terms of the role of a city clerk?
I'm sure as far as the city clerk's office, it is its own entity. And the mayor has her own office to run as well, or his own office to run as well. Will I work with whoever is the mayor? Absolutely. We're all in the same office, so why wouldn't we work together for a common goal? So thank you.
Mrs. Gall.
Yeah, I think I've proven that I can work with everybody. I think that definitely the city clerk belongs at those department head meetings because there's ways that the city clerk can help those departments run smoothly. I think that I'm all about partnerships, that's for sure. So I'm just a little thrown off.
I apologize.
oh, no.
It was turned off, but it's
You're fine,
emergency.
you're fine.
I'm sorry.
But yes, I can work with everybody. I've proven that. Again, it's not a Democrat or Republican thing. These are real city issues that we all need to work together on.
Thank you. We'd like to thank our candidate, Ms. Destin Hall and Ms. Stacey Gall for participating tonight in the forum for the city clerk. We want to thank Mr. Steve Bertrand and his staff. We'd like to thank our panel. And so we're down to the 3-minute closing statement. We're going to start with you, Ms. Gall, followed by Mrs. Hall.
Well, thank you guys again. Thank you to the NAACP. Thank you to the Kankakee Public Library. I'm always so proud of our library. It's one of my favorite things in the city of Kankakee. And thank you to the panel for the challenging questions. I do like the way that they push me forward as a leader. They pull something out of you, these questions, and they move me forward as a candidate. This is an exciting time for the clerk's office. It's a time for new energy and a fresh outlook on ways that we can educate the residents and help the city departments. It takes somebody who knows the concerns of a diverse community and how to help. It takes someone who's willing to work with everyone and be a partner to help with city departments to have an effective, larger vision, from software upgrades, a more successful business license administration, education to the public about local government, enhanced public communication, a seat at that department head table, and more. I have a big vision for this office, but it's necessary and very doable. It's about looking at the big picture of city government and working together. And I humbly ask for your vote on April 6th, and early voting is happening now. Thank you.
Thank you. So once again, thank you to the NAACP, the Kankakee Library, our panelists, and to those who made this all possible tonight. Your time and effort are greatly appreciated. So thank you once again from me. Tonight, you were able to get a small glimpse into what each of us have to offer to the position of city clerk. It is more than just taking notes, attending meetings, assisting the citizens of Kankakee for their license, permits, and stickers. I truly hope from the discussion that has just taken place, you are a little more informed as a voter to who the clear choice is for city clerk. I am a fresh face that would be an asset to the clerk's office. I am not a politician who goes with the norm or listens to what others are doing and votes along with them. I am not connected to the hip to anyone. I will question why things are the way that they are. I am small, but I am mighty. I have already stated that I am not a politician and I will not fail at one job stepping down to ask you to give me promotion for another job, especially if I've proven that I cannot do the first job that I have stepped down from. I have shown through this erroneous and unfounded petition against me that I am strong. I do not waver. I am capable, a calm-headed person. I am right here. I am not going anywhere. I am a force to be reckoned with. Even during this debate, I've had a personal emergency, but I am still here. I'm asking you for your vote as Kankakee Clerk of City, I'm asking for your vote as City Clerk of Kankakee. When you fill in the circle next to my name, you're making a conscious choice that you want someone at the clerk's office that can do the job. Your choice signifies you're choosing someone who is dependable, trustworthy, honest, fiscally responsible, and your vote for me is saying that you choose a hard worker just like yourself. You're not choosing a politician who has proven over and over that they are incapable of doing the job that they have now and are asking you for a raise. Your vote for me is someone of confidence, integrity, and competence. A vote for Destiny Hall is a vote for success. Thank you.
Again, we'd like to thank the candidates for coming out tonight to echo their respective platform. Again, the panel and the staff here at the library. Again, vote on Tuesday, April 6th. Thank you. Drive safely.
Thank you.